Welcome to our pod. And by that, I mean on Wednesdays we read. I'm Hannah.
I'm Laura.
And we are two best friends who do a deep dive into a new book series, one book at a time. Right now, we are shiting on the Wheel of Time, and we are discussing book 11.
Knife of Daggers.
Knife of Daggers or Knife of Dreams. You'd think I would like pull up the name after doing this for almost a year, and I always forget. I never remember by the third week to be
the
like,
thing is,
hey,
we're so good
what
just
are
off
we
the
doing?
cuff because we know everything that we don't need the internet.
And if I don't know, Laura just tells me, and then we cut it out, and it makes us look smarter. See, some little behind the scenes action for you guys.
Very little. We are so smart.
Last week, she sent me a panic text, which was like, I need to get this episode out soon. I remember you coughing at some point. I just can't find it.
Last week's episode, I did not edit very much because I had several meetings, but I was like, okay, I know for a fact that Hannah had like a coughing fit and I needed to edit that spot out and I could not find it. I was like, oh, what is happening?
The funny thing was like, I specifically also remembered my coughing fit. So I was like, yeah, it's definitely in there. Like, I can't even tell you it's not in there because I remember. But before we listen to more coughing and a discussion of the boys of Knife of Daggers, Laura, what are you reading, watching, and or enjoying?
So I'm almost done with The Rise and Fall of the Dinosaurs by Steve Brusatte, or however you say his last name. Come at me with how you pronounce that, people.
No one's done it yet. That's very rude of our listeners.
Nobody cares about dinosaurs or my bad pronunciations. No one wants.
Dare all of you.
2022, come after me. Come on, I'm saying things incorrectly. But anyways, so almost done with this book. I have decided that this is going to be like a 3-star book for me. So the parts about dinosaurs, I really enjoy. However, this author has a habit of like name dropping horribly, where he mentions other paleontologists or other scientists, and then he takes like an entire page to talk about them. And back in the 90s, so-and-so was known for not only his love of whiskey, but his love of dinosaurs. And when he started, and it's like, okay, I don't care about this. Please continue more with how you found
I want to hear about
Tyrannosaurs have feathers. Like, I don't care about this. Yeah. And it's like, I get it that maybe some people are interested in like the name dropping, but I almost feel like maybe this is just like I think he has other books. Maybe this is just him like doing a thank you, like his version of a thank you card to people that have helped him in his career. Like, is that what this is? I don't know. But I did not enjoy all that because it seemed a little bit like, oh, look at these people that I know. And also a little bit like patting himself on the back for having awesome connections a little bit.
Okay.
And not to say that he hasn't worked hard and everything. And he seems very passionate about his work. He's actually like from our area where we grew up. So I found that kind of interesting. But and now he's a professor in Edinburgh and everything. But the book, I really enjoy the dinosaur parts. The science parts, I really, really enjoy. I would say 4.5, 5 stars on all of those parts. But he put so much of this extra name dropping in that it's like, it's bringing me back down to 3 stars because I'm like, this is too much fluff and I don't like it.
It's funny because like certain nonfiction writers, and actually my book will be nonfiction as well this week. But like certain nonfiction writers, I'm like, okay, did you need to do this? Because I remember when I was reading Bad Blood by John Carreyrou, I think. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which was about Elizabeth Holmes. Mm-hmm. And I was like, the beginning of it, I was like, this is an excellent story. But he's also the one who broke the story as the reporter and like got stonewalled by her. Mm-hmm. And the way he like had such a bloviated sense of self when it's like, they threatened me and they did this and they did this. And I was like, okay, I get, and like, this will sound very hypocritical because the book I read this week is Ronan Farrow Sketch and Kill, which is similar. but like it's also different. Like something felt different about the way Ronan Farrow did it versus Carreyrou, because Carreyrou just felt like he was like, isn't it amazing? I did all of these things. And I do think that Ronan Farrow had almost a humility about him where he was like, I wasn't the only one who could have broken this story. I just happened to have been in the perfect situation to be able to do it in the way I did it. And yes, it was scary. And yes, I had to work hard for it. But like, isn't it sad that it took this long and for me to do this, for it to come out? So there was like almost like a humbleness about it where Carreyrou was more like, I'm the one who did this. And it's like, okay, sir, like calm down.
I understand like if there's a point to the name dropping and the self-congratulating. If there's a point to it,
type,
if that self-congratulatory type wording is necessary, I guess, but in this scenario it did not seem necessary. I wish it would have just been strictly scientific, and
right?
If you need to include that in the like bibliography, cool. Or if you need to do like a paragraph, cool. Quit doing a page every other page.
Fair enough. Have you been watching anything?
So sticking with science theme, I watched 2 episodes of Animal on Netflix. And
what is that about?
It's just a documentary about animals. So the first one was on big cats, and then the second one was on dogs. And I noticed that in the 2 episodes that I watched, like, have you noticed we never get much time with certain species? Like we focus on all the ones that we typically like. Like people like big cats, so we spend a lot of time on big cat documentaries. We get a whole thing on like wolves and foxes, but in both of them hyenas were mentioned, but they got very little screen time because you know what, those are hideous creatures and they're disgusting. They eat bones, they make the most horrible noises, and I was like, I've never seen hyenas get a lot of screen time. I wonder what that's about. And then I was like, Laura, think about it, they're disgusting. Nobody wants to watch a full episode on hyenas.
Justice for hyenas, guys. That's the
well, not just hyenas, but like all these species that are like, you know, equally endangered.
I need to
in comparison to like lions and stuff like that. I'm sure that some of these other species that are hideous also need help, and we're destroying their lives. But they're not going to get a lot of time because they're not cute. They're not as cute as clouded leopards. They're not getting any screen time, and they're not going to get the money.
Where are the justice for anteaters? Okay, they eat ants. They help us, guys. I need to start sending you, because like Laura and I had this discussion recently where she will not be getting on TikTok because it is a time suck, and I told her she was right. But there is this one guy who does like breakdowns on animals, and I feel like you would like his stuff a lot because he like
probably would.
And he does ugly stuff, ugly animals too. And like people will always ask for cute stuff, and he's like, I get it, but I also want to do like this random thing. And he like always gives them like, he's like, these cute little demon goblins. And like he always like gives them little names. So I enjoy his stuff. I have to send you more of his stuff. I mostly only send you stuff that I'm interested in, which is like curating Laura's like unique For You page of TikTok into what Hannah's For You page is.
A lot of times when you send me TikToks, I'm like, ooh, I kind of want to like look up this or that. Or sometimes they make it onto Instagram in reel form. They put them on now, but every now and then I'll see what I'm like, oh, I kind of want to like get on TikTok just to like watch some of these. But then I talk myself out of it because I'm like, as long as I don't make an account, then I'm not going to be sucked into that time trap.
There is a huge time. And sometimes you rewatch the same video and you're like, how did this come up again? Like, I'm pretty sure every time that person reposts the 100 tampon song, I'm going to see it.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So there are certain things that are just funny. And people like, I don't know, TikTok is fun for the time suck, but also like when you start reading comments, you get a little like depressed, like, cause you're just like, oh, people are so collectively
that's
like the human species
anywhere anymore.
I know, but like there's even one where it's just like an ex-husband like dancing on his ex-wife as a joke, you know, and like she's obviously embarrassed, and you go into the comments and people are like, you can tell you two are still in love, and I'm like, let's normalize like this is a moment they thought was funny on TikTok. Right. I don't think that if you get a divorce, you're sitting there still in love. Like good for them for having a good relationship where he could dance on her and like it's not creepy. Like, it seems like they just have a good, healthy relationship. But you always get those. I also do. There is one person that I've been following. I don't actually like follow her, but she comes up on my FYP all the time. And it's like any man who's a misogynist, she just like insults them on their level, where she's like, listen, that receding hairline looks real bad. And she's like, it's always the men with the 8 fingers on their forehead who just seem to need to tell women that they're blah, 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 blah. And like, she just laughs through it. And I do love her because at one point someone was like, oh, really? Like, show us your boyfriend. And she like, I would not say she's the most conventionally attractive woman I've ever seen. Like, she is very nice looking, but like her boyfriend is out of this world hot. And she like dropped all these photos of him and she's like, sorry about that. And she, like in the comments, she's like, if you think that I make fun of all these rats and I'm sleeping on my own relationship, you're wrong. Like, I love this because it's just like, yeah, she is. And people will be like, you could be nice. And she's like, these men are not being nice. Like, I make men go private on TikTok because I demolish them. And if I'm keeping one misogynist off this app, it's well worth my time. I'm like, well, I get that. Like,
fight the fight.
I'm going to go down on their level because they can't handle it when women do that. So,
oh, it's so true.
Oh, it's very true. And like the way men will be like, oh yeah, like sometimes people will like tag her in the comments of like men who are being misogynist. And they're like, sure, let her come at me. And anytime they do, she's like, yeah, the surest way that I put you on top of my list is by you acting like this. So it's fun. But yeah, I'm glad you are getting into your little sciencey like sphere.
I feel like I go through little ups and downs of where I'm like, I'm in a science kick for a while and I watch a lot of documentaries and get it out of my system. And then I'm like, okay, I need some fiction again. So I'm currently in a science kick.
Well, that's good. I'm glad.
You know, you read Catch and Kill.
It was so freaking good, Laura.
I told you to read it. I know. Read it a long time ago. I was like, this is so good. You got to read it.
So I finally realized something about myself, guys. I really love nonfiction on audiobook. Like I have a hard time gearing myself up to read nonfiction, but if I can listen to it in my brain, I will do it so quickly. And Ronan Farrow reads the book himself and he like puts in some of the like videotapes that he has and like you get to hear some sound bites in it. And it was a great way to listen to the book. It is so freaking good. Laura knows how good it is. It's one of the best nonfiction. Did you
listen to the podcast?
I'm
also
6 episodes into the podcast.
Okay, I was gonna say I listened to the podcast after I read the book and I was like, oh, this is perfect.
He's just one of the smartest people. And I also I love his fiance's media company. So like anytime he brought up his fiance, I was like, this is so adorable because like the fiance, like one of my sisters and I have a joke that if one of us makes like a joke about something we're still really sensitive about, we always say still bitter. And it's like our sign to the other one, like shut down the joke. I can't do this and laugh about it yet. Right. And it's I highly recommend that for people if you guys are sarcastic like me and most of my family to have a safe word. But the way his fiance is still bitter about the way NBC treated Ronan Farrow is one of the sweetest things I've ever heard. Like anytime NBC like brings up like, well, we just didn't know. And he's like, listen, I had to watch this company gaslight the man I love for months and months and months. And then when it finally came out, they wanted to change the narrative. And you know what? Fuck that. Like he's just like not taking any name. So like anytime I heard about like Ronan's side of the story in the book where he's like, I was talking to Jonathan and he was mad for me. I was like, this is so freaking sweet. Like, and then like Ronan Farrow like proposes in the book and it's like so cute. And for context, like he said that like Ronan definitely like proposed from the book and he like sent the book to his fiance and was like
wanted him to read through it.
And he wanted him to read through it. And the fiance was like, so I did what any normal person did who is narcissist. And I tried to control F my name. And then Ronan was like, you can't control F your name. You need to read it in order because it would have ruined the proposal. And I was like, that's so sweet. And like, that is outside the context of how freaking good that book is. Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, it's about the Harvey Weinstein reporting that Ronan Farrow did and the overarching picture of sexual harassment in the media and what was going on behind closed doors that stopped this from getting reported. The podcast is further on that. And he brings in other people who were part of the news reporting cycle for that. Ronan Farrow is one of the smartest people I've ever heard speak. He gives it up to my girl, Rachel Maddow. So like overall, great book. Loved the audiobook. Laura read it. So it's a great read as well. I own the book, so I'm glad I own it. I borrowed the audiobook from the library just because I was like, yeah, I want to finally read this book. And it was great. I also read Hamnet by
that has been everywhere. Maggie O'Farrell.
It was very good. I would not say it's like the most spectacular book I've ever read.
That one's gotten so much hype. I'm curious.
I mean, it's very, very good. Resoundingly, O'Farrell is a great writer. The way she writes is very, you feel it on the page. It's like an alternative history of William Shakespeare and his son Hamnet dying during the plague and how that inspired Hamlet. It's very like different, though it kind of goes into the details about the wife. Shakespeare is never named in the book very like specifically. Some of the names are changed, so it's not just like obviously Shakespeare's to like layer it in like, oh yeah, it's about Shakespeare, but not really. Like Hamnet is a real, his children are all named the way they were named, like Hamnet Shakespeare was a person, but like his wife's name is changed and all that jazz. But I really liked it. I will say that like anytime I put it down, it took a while for me to want to pick it up. Every time I was reading, I'm like, this is spectacular. And it's like, it's a very dense book. So maybe for like end of the month in January, I just wasn't feeling it after like the exhaustiveness that always comes in January. But I would say very good book. Highly recommend it. Like I think both books were so freaking good. Hamnet is just one of the drier books you're going to read. But if you're feeling dry in your books, you should definitely pick it up. So
maybe a book for Shakespeare lovers.
Yeah, exactly. And then I haven't really been watching any TV lately. Like I've been like watching SVU and I tried to start Euphoria. It's really good, but it's hard to like get into a little bit because again, it deals with like very dark topics. And right now I'm not in the mood for dark, but I'm having a hard time finding shows that really speak to me right now. So if you guys like have any lighthearted shows that I would like.
I tried to watch A Discovery of Witches, and let me just say that the TV show is just as boring as the book. I DNF'd the book. I had mentioned that several months ago that I was reading that, but I actually DNF'd the book because I found it so boring and thought maybe I would come back to it. I have not come back to it, but I was like, maybe I can watch this TV show. Watched 3 episodes, and like the entire time that they were playing, I was doing other things because I was like, I don't even care about what is happening in this show.
You know what I've heard good things about that I need to watch is that Abbott Elementary. It's like a new sitcom about teachers in like a low income school. And I've heard it's very funny and very moving. And like it asks a lot of good questions where like I saw like a scene on TikTok, sorry guys, where like one of the teachers is talking about how like one of the newer teachers was like trying to like get new stuff for the kids because they were like using watercolors that were like pretty much used up. And the other teacher is like, you need to stop because they don't know they're missing out on anything. And when you push for stuff like that, all you're telling them is that they're poor and they're not coming to school to be told that. I'm like, that's interesting. You know, that's not a perfect quotation from the show, but I liked what I saw. And I've heard amazing things from other teachers who say like, this is the best show. Really? So I'm interested in watching that. And I'm looking for lighthearted shows. Recommend to us on Twitter. I will not be watching any science documentaries because, as Laura knows, Hannah hates science.
Feel free to recommend awesome science nonfic books to me.
Yeah, Hannah's
where it's all about the science. Hannah's anti-science. Oh my! What a take!
That's a very big joke. Hannah loves science.
My gosh!
But
she said it with the straightest face. I don't know how to feel about this.
Hannah doesn't hate science. Hannah hates learning science. Science was always my worst subject.
And hates learning? What?
Oh my God.
It's 2022. I'm being an Instagram comment.
Science was always my worst subject, actually. Like that was the one that my dad had to
sit
down
and
study with me.
Subject?
No, oh my God. Okay, we're diving into Knife of Daggers. We're moving on.
Some self-proclaimed science hater.
Hannah loves science. That's the important part. Don't cut that out, Laura. Should we
science? Hey, did you see that thing on SNL where Sarah Sherman roasted Colin Jost and it was hilarious?
No.
Oh, I'll send it to you, but
okay.
Listeners, look it up. Sarah Sherman is one of the new cast members of SNL, and Colin Jost, I think he's still head writer, but he does Weekend Update with Michael Shea. And there was a Weekend Update where they had Sarah come on and talk about her experience so far on SNL, and she just roasted Colin, and it was not necessarily roasted, but in good fun. It was just very funny.
That's amazing.
She's great.
Okay.
Knife of Daggers
first. Who are we talking about first?
Rand, I guess.
Okay, we're talking about Rand. I kind of forgot everything Rand did in this book.
I'm not gonna lie, I was just like, let's talk about Rand, and then I was like, what did he do?
We both just froze. He lost a hand.
Did we read this?
Rand lost a hand.
I literally could only remember Egwene, and I was like, who else was in the book? Well, it was only Egwene.
Rand faces Semirog, and he loses a hand in the most
anticlimactic
thing in the world.
Doesn't realize it.
And it's like he's already said goodbye to it. And it's like that's not.
Which I don't know why I didn't realize this before, but in all of the art that he's depicted in online, he doesn't have a hand.
Oh, really?
I don't know why I never put two and two together. If I just was
never noticed that. Oh my God.
I don't even on the wiki Wheel of Time, the picture there, no hand. I'm like, what? Laura, why did you totally miss this?
This is brand new information.
It is.
But it's also really weird because it's he's missing a hand, but don't worry, the dragon tattoos are still there.
Yeah, they're still there.
I wasn't worried.
Careful placement.
See, I'm looking at all the pictures, and I see a hand on him in all of these.
Really? I am positive. Go just type in Rand Althor.
I did, and I'm looking
Google.
at Rand with lots of hands.
What? Lots of hands? Yeah. No way.
Well, I mean, he always has two hands, but they're always
the one I'm looking at right now is there's no hand.
I'm only seeing Rand with hands.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't see Rand without a hand.
We got to take a break so I can email you this picture.
Message it to me.
Okay, guys, we're going to take a break. Listen to an ad from our sponsor, TikTok.
TikTok. Have you ever wanted to spend hours and hours doing nothing but watching 3-minute videos and then watching someone react to the 3-minute video you just saw? You should download TikTok. But anyway, yeah, I mean, he didn't do much in this book. He is being rich. He's leading armies. Mm-hmm. He's having sex with Min, and Matt's watching.
Creepy.
And he's still getting kind of sick from Sidene. He's trying to lead it up to Tarmangaydan. He still pretty much thinks he's gonna die. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I feel like in this book, Rand is being so honestly so stupid, where it's sure. Tuon agreed to meet with us. I'm gonna ask 0 questions and walk right into a trap. Again, it feels like it's more of a Jordan Rush plot than anything else.
Here was my question, because I had this thought about Matt too. Are these characters regressing a little bit as far as their growth? Because I kind of felt this way about Matt. Perrin has been bad for a while, but
fair.
Rand and Matt, we were both kind of getting on board with them. Okay, things are happening. We're kind of following where their mindset is, etc. But I feel like now they're kind of taking a couple steps back, and we're like, Rand, you're being an idiot when you used to be smart and think things through and be considerate, and it's you're not doing it anymore.
Yeah. Well, I do think it's definitely Robert Jordan's Rush plot in this book that's at fault, where it's just because it's so rushed, we're not really sitting with them enough where we're like, oh, they may make mistakes, but at least we know their reasoning. And at least people are like questioning them. And they're like, no, we have to go into this meeting because it's our only chance left. And like, he does that, but it's like so much more rushed and like in the moment of like, they're walking up the stairs and Min's like, maybe we should do this. And Rion's like, no, we have to do it for this reason. And then they walk in the room. It's like, usually there's a lot more discussions going on. And like, okay, we know Catsiane's helping him, but like, not really. We just hear her threatening him a lot in this book. And like, Logain is like, hey, Mazrim Taim's taking over. You should regret all of your thoughts. And Rand's like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. And it's just like, what? Like, Rand, you are so useful. Yeah.
I'm curious about like the direction that this is going to go, but I don't have a ton of hope, but
you're right. In that picture, Rand does not have a hand.
Yeah. Why did I never notice that?
I don't know either. Well, and I've heard like in the next book, Brandon Sanderson does a lot better with a lot of the growth in some of these characters. It does feel like Jordan was getting fatigued by book 11. It was just like
fair.
Good on him for having more plot in the book.
Yeah.
But I mean, other than that,
thank you for
thank you. We were suffering and now we're not suffering as much. But like the fact that misery. You were like, okay, Rand. And I was like, what? He's still being Rand, but he's like much less capable. And I guess that's just like, I get it as like, if we're looking at this from a pure storyboarding thing, it's like, okay, Robert Jordan's trying to set us up for the final battle. Rand, and I do think it's interesting where Rand is slowly losing more and more of himself as he's going towards his death. And so like losing his hand is a physical manifestation of that. And like he himself is deteriorating so much where it's like he cannot channel without being sick now. Sure. He's going into this. He's losing himself. He's losing body parts. I do think that there's like a theme of the deterioration of Rand. It is. But you and I have to think about this.
What does that remind you of? Does it remind you of anything that we both recently read?
What did we both just recently read?
It reminds me of Monstress.
Oh, you know what? You're right. It's very Monstress of like physical manifestation of losing yourself to the monsters that be. That's very good. And I love that analogy, Laura. Thank you for that.
I like Monstress way better.
It's a graphic novel about a badass woman. And this is about a fuckboy who has to bang 3 women so much and he gets them pregnant on his first try. So what's the difference, Laura? I just described the same book.
That's right. Why don't I like this? It's the exact same thing as Monstress. Duh, Laura.
And Monstress also has queer overtones where like queer people actually exist publicly with each other.
They're not just pillow friends.
Pillow friends, my pillow friend. Could you imagine like in the 21st century, like if the next person I dated was a woman and I was like, can I call you my pillow friend? Like,
I think they'd break up with you.
She would not be dating me for very long.
I don't think it would end well.
I think that's a great way to end a relationship. It's like the How I Met Your
Not
Mother.
Not a great way, but a quick way.
It's the How I Met Your Mother, like Ted Mosey thing where they're like, I Mose beat her. And then it's always like, I told her I loved her way too soon. But yeah, like Rand does feel like he's regressed. I do like the manifestation of him losing parts of himself through the hand. And like, it is interesting. I mean, it sucks the way Robert Jordan does it because it rushes it, but it's interesting to hear men say like, once he loses something, he just walks away from it. And it's like, this is so harrowing that you could lose a physical part of your body. And it literally doesn't even nick the surface of what you've been going through. That's great. Once you put contextualization around it, I think with the rushing of the plot, sometimes it gets missed.
Right.
So, but good job, Monstress.
5 stars goes to Monstress.
Do we want to talk about Perrin?
Sure. I mean, I think we should.
He finally has his wife back.
Finally. I feel bad for her, but
I feel so freaking bad for Fael, but we'll talk about her next week when we talk about Robert Jordan, like, I guess redeeming a character we both hated by putting her through so much torture we had to
I
feel
know
bad for
how
her.
we make people like her. Trauma.
And bringing in a worse character than her, Tuon. I hate that female growth back in these books, like in the early 2000s, late 90s, was always about how trauma had to make us grow. Because there's so many other ways to grow as women. So yeah, awesome. But that's for next week. I think Perrin in this book, I mean, I also think he kind of regressed in this book where he's supposed to be like,
I think he's been bad for a while.
He's been bad, but he's regressed in his capabilities. Like, he's
definitely been less aware.
Yeah. And he like lost his number one guy in this book, like off screen. Like,
so I just have a problem with that because it was so out of left field.
I mean, apparently it wasn't. Like, Aram's been hanging out over there for like ever, apparently. And he's just like, oh,
but there were no hints to this at all in the writing, is why I don't like it. Like,
I'm sure
to us as readers,
Laura, I am sure if you reread the last 4 books, which you will never do, there was some hint in there that Aram was going over to
mega
the
fans
dark side.
Sift through and then tell me if there were
I'm
hints
sure
of
the
this.
mega fans just know that there were hints of it.
Quote,
I'm sure like it discussed like Aram going over to the other tents. And it does discuss it. Like, I do think it's interesting the way, and I guess we can talk a little bit about Aram in this. Again, I love what the story means in context. Like, Aram is a character who let go of all of his people and fully signed on to whatever Perrin was going to do,
right?
Because he was the person who gave him structure and support when he needed it most.
And I suppose it's pretty easy to lose faith in a person who is doing the things that Perrin is doing. So
yes. And like, Perrin lost his wife. He thinks he slept with someone else. It's like, it's almost like I put you up on a pedestal and you were everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's relying on one person to be the end all be all to your own journey.
Unfortunately, people can't be that.
Yeah. Like, you shouldn't do that. And I do think it's so interesting to watch that for a character, to like watch the Aram arc of this. I wish we had seen more of it.
Yeah.
I love the context of Aram's like
I wish we didn't have to be shocked by his death.
I wish it wasn't like he's following me into battle and all of a sudden he's trying to cut at my back and I found out he was hanging out around the tents. And it's like, we've seen his frustration with Perrin. We've seen him not wanting to talk to Perrin, but I wish there had been more push and pull, or like people warning him like, hey, I don't think Aram should go into battle with you. And him being like, no, he is my right-hand person. I trust him with my life. And then you feel the betrayal so much more.
Mm-hmm.
But what we get is like, I need to find his wife and he doesn't deserve his wife and I'm going to kill him. And like, we get like 2 scenes of warning before that.
Yeah.
So disappointing. And like,
odd choice.
It also sucks that like the most interesting thing about Perrin is his relationship with Aram.
I was going to say, honestly, like the things that have been interesting are Aram and his ability as like being a wolf brother, and they're not talked about. And instead, Jordan focuses on something that's entirely uninteresting to everyone, which is that weird love triangle. And yeah, so
well, and like
the interesting things about Perrin were apparently not interesting to Robert Jordan.
Well, and like Perrin, even in this book, I'm like, oh, I liked that he did the trick with the fork root tea. Oh, you mean we don't get to see the woman fail in battle after drinking the fork root tea? Like, you give us all these interesting things about Perrin, and then they all happen off script. And like, then there's a moment where it's like, hey, they could have a beautiful scene between him and Fael where she tries to apologize for something and he's like, you don't have anything to apologize for. Or she's like, the man you killed, he was trying to protect me. And Perrin is like, I'm so sorry. Like, you could have something happen between the two of them where it's like, I'm sorry I did what I did. Or all I wanted to do is protect you. I was trying to do that in the best way possible. I hope you can forgive me. I understand like that person was nice to you. It must be hard for you to see. Or even like, I hate that it all happens without communicating. That Fael is like, what if he asks why I'm upset? What if he asks what I've done while I'm here? And Perrin's like, women keep their own counsel. I'm just not going to ask her. And it's like, well, I get that. Like, good for you for not judging your wife if like she was like had
but also
sex.
please talk to her.
But also like talk to her about it and reassure her that like that's the case. Like she's probably having some weird thing inside her head where it's like, does he think this happened? What does he think of me? Will he love me? And it's like, reassure her in some shape or form. Like, no matter what happened, I'm supportive of you and I'm here for you, whatever you need. Nope. Women be womening. Like,
yeah.
I don't get why he hates Perrin so much.
His father-in-law's back.
Yeah, his father-in-law's back. I mean, and like he's hanging with Elias. We still get like nothing with him. Like,
I really wish, like I've said this multiple times, I really wish that we would have had more with Elias and the Wolf Brothers situation, but no.
I know. And like, I don't know. It just all around kind of sucks.
Yeah.
It just sucks. Do we want to talk about Matt and then some other characters, or do we want to talk about other characters and then Matt?
Might as well talk about Matt.
Okay. I mean,
I think he is regressing as well because he was starting to become more of a capable character that we liked and we're really on board with his storyline. Now he's just like obsessed with Tuan and
spanking women who don't listen to him.
Spanking women. And is this him getting over his own trauma? I don't know.
Again, we kind of mentioned this in the plot of the novel, but Robert Jordan gaslights us into thinking that Matt is still the same person he was in book 1.
But he's like, not.
I know. Where like Tuan is like, man, he suddenly seems capable. And it's like, he's been running subterfuge for 2 books now. Like he's been doing things for 2 books.
Right.
And for some reason, everyone's like, he's a child. And it's just like, he got people out of Abu Dar, which was overrun with Sanchen people, and he was able to get her successfully out. Isn't that capability? Like,
he's concerned about a child. He's like a foster parent to a child, even though this child is obsessed with boobs. But I just feel like this book, especially, I was like very not impressed with Matt's storyline because it just seemed very, and maybe it's because I don't like Tuan as a character that I'm kind of letting that cloud my interpretation of Matt. But so be it, because I just don't enjoy Matt just kind of regressing as a character and going back to these ways of misogyny, basically. Right? Well, and just being an idiot. He was
always like the open misogynist. It was just kind of okay because like every woman,
it seemed like he was growing a little bit.
I know. But like every woman in this book is always like, well, Matt's the fucking worst. So sometimes when I was like, well, when Matt's mean back, it almost makes sense. Like if you're just being degraded to every single person you come across, you're going to be a little bit like fighting against them. But like, it just doesn't make sense. And honestly, sometimes I rewrite these things where I'm like, here's how it would have worked. If he and Tuan are battling over who gets to be in charge because she's a queen and whatever, and he's, you know, the lowly hand servant, but she still knows he's in charge the entire time. So then when like people come and they're like, we're here looking for Tom Maryland, he's in charge, she's like, you guys are idiots. If you guys are going to be my royal guard and you don't even know what's up with this one person, how can I respect you? You know, like there are ways to make her be like, I want to be in charge because I want to be in charge of Matt, but I still recognize his power in this group of people because Matt's been running things for a very long time. So having her suddenly be like, oh, he leads armies? I didn't realize he was capable of things. It's like, that makes zero sense.
I think their relationship is just bad in my mind. And I just don't understand it. Like, it seems like the only reason they like quote unquote love each other is because they both like learned this prophecy that they were supposed to marry each other. So then we're like, we're in love because that's what the prophecy said. And it's like, that's not how this works. Like,
also, it's just also really weird that like all of Matt's story in the line in the original run of these books was, I don't care if I'm Taverin. I don't care what these prophecies say.
And now he fully believes in it.
Yeah, like he's always the person who's like, I get to make my own choices. You don't get to make
Mhm.
choices for me. But then all of a sudden it's like, well, your wife is going to be this woman. And he's like, I guess the Elfin and Eilfin were right. And I'm like,
Yep.
That's not your character at all.
Yeah. Their relationship doesn't seem to be like anything that makes sense at all. There was no build up. It was just them being like, yep, we love each other. Prophecy is correct. We're here. And that's it.
It just doesn't make sense. And then like also there's a weird underlying thing of like the Elfin and Eilfin. I feel like Robert Jordan decided were much more important in this book because we heard about them constantly when we hadn't before. Like we heard about the prophecies, but now like it's like, oh, hey, we're gonna go save Moraine. And he's like, the Elfin and Eilfin probably know what I'm doing. And I'm like, what?
Why?
When did that happen? This doesn't make sense. Like it's just really random shit going on. And like how they're going to save Moraine and how like everyone just knew the incredibly pieces of missing information they had. Like everything with Matt just now seems like it's the one person who it's the one person who believed in free will. And now he's learning like everything's predestined and you don't have free will. And it's like, well, that's the most interesting part of his character. Like, I'm back to reading the fourth Stephenie Meyer's book when I was like, oh my God, is she going to have like this beautiful theme about like choosing the one you love? And sometimes you can't be with your one true love and that's okay. And then it's like, nope, Jacob's going to fall in love with a baby. So I feel very much like poor Matt. We were so interested in and I guess that's the point is like the things we love about Rand, the things we love about Matt, and the things we love about Perrin are blatantly missing from these novels.
Yeah.
And like it doesn't help that like Perrin's biggest thing was how much he cared for others. And like he was always like, Rand, how could you not care that these soldiers will die in your name? And then all of a sudden his wife is gone and he's like, but my wife. And it's like, okay, that's fine.
Like, now you're doing exactly what, okay.
And Matt, it's like, oh, you believe in free will. No, you don't. You're just going to marry Tuon. And it's like, Rand, you're a great leader. No, you're not. You're going to walk right into a trap. Like all of their best characteristics were just blatantly missing from these books.
Maybe this is just Robert Jordan's way of like, I'm going to have these characters take 2 steps backward to fool the readers into thinking that they're getting worse. And then they become even better versions of themselves, what they were.
I honestly think that sometimes Robert Jordan just wrote 11 books and he's like, I forgot their character growth.
I mean, kind of.
Yeah. Ugh. What did we think about Lan in this book? Mr. iRobot himself.
I didn't think too much, honestly, about him.
Light of my light, I think I must go to my homeland to help secure it. I will fight with sword. The way that Michael
Kramer reads his lines is not very animated, so.
And he's also just like the least useful, like best swordsman around. Like it's just
another example. You often say this, Hannah, where like Robert Jordan will say things about the characters, but he doesn't show us these things. And this is another example where it's like, Lan is the best swordsman there is. And it's like, is he?
He's also going to be like this great leader. And who leads the men into battle? It's Nynaeve. Nynaeve has to go to the men and be like, we're right on town. And it's just like Lan is doing nothing. And also like there are so many pitfalls where it's like Lan is supposed to be connected to another woman. It's a huge thing with them. Do we mention it anymore? No. Not really. It's not important.
Not a thing.
And like
we're done with that.
It's just so funny how much it's just like, light of my light, I love you so much. And it's like, really? I just don't get that.
No.
I am in charge of you because women not be trusted.
Which doesn't make sense as a warder that he would be having those takes, but okay. Right?
It's just so dumb. And it's just like, will you let me travel with you? Or she's like, I'll take you to the borderlands. And he's like, you'd really let me leave? And it's just like, yeah, at this point, why wouldn't she? You're gonna leave anyway if she doesn't travel and let you get there faster. She's kind of being the worst. And like, that's your wife. Come on, man.
Oh, how far
Yeah.
we've come.
Also, like, I'm sorry, they've ruined the character of Logain for me. Like, Logain was this interesting character who was like tortured and got his powers back and had to fight for everything. And now he is just Rand's little lapdog, like doing whatever he says, but then complaining about it.
I mean, several characters kind of just became Rand's little lapdog.
I know. It's disappointing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like, Logain
when some of these characters are built up to be cool and you like have a vision for how you think they could have gone in the plot, and then nothing like that happens at all, it is disappointing.
I do think that this is kind of a pitfall of high fantasy, where it's like, instead of sitting with the same characters you've been with and really expanding on their characteristics, sometimes people, not all fantasy writers, don't come at me and be like, you just haven't read this one. I know. But like, sometimes they can just keep introducing characters instead of sitting with a character long enough for us to develop their story. And so, like, you don't need Bashir in these books.
Right.
He lifts right out. Have that be Logain, where there's like actual underlying struggles of like, well, I trusted Mazrim Taim. What makes you trustworthy? And then there's like push and pull between the two of them. Like, there are ways to play with characters, and it feels like Robert Jordan's like, just nope. Logain now just follows him, but also kind of hates him. And it's like, that's interesting. Tell me more.
Right.
But no, he still just gets to be all powerful and healed. And can we talk about how I like fascist Galad more than Gawain?
He is the leader of the White Cloaks. I forgot about that.
Of course you forgot about that. It happened in the prologue where 8,000 other things happened, Laura.
He had a fight to the death
with Valda. Honestly, before we watched the TV show, couldn't have told you who Valda was off the top of my head.
No.
I was like, oh, okay.
Now I'm kind of like, what a way to go.
What a way to go. Like, I don't remember you being here, but I was impressed with watching you leave.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
I think it's interesting that Galad has such a loyalty to his stepmom who hates him, but
what a plot witch of a storyline where it's like, she's like, I just never cared. Like, it's so much of the like, I love like, all my children equally. I don't care for Galad. I don't care for Job. Like, it's got so many of those vibes. And then like, oh my God, Galad is the Job. Like, he's way too aggressive. He has like this grandiose thing where he's like, I'm in love with the queen. Wait, I was in love with Nynaeve the whole time.
I changed my mind.
My illusions, Dad. Veronica texted me and said when we were doing the TV Tuesday that she laughed out loud when I was like, my illusions, Bruce Theron.
I mean, I love Will Arnett.
I know. But like, poor Galad, who's just like, his mom's, I don't care for Galad. And he's like, I will avenge you, mother. And it's just
that's kind of what's going on.
I know. It's such a plot contrivance to like get him the leader of the White Cloaks. And again, I just don't understand in these types of books where it's like, hey, you know what we need before the final battle that like rests on the world? Let's make sure everything is taken care of by 25-year-olds and under. Old people, you can't do shit. Like, why is the leader of everything? They have to be under 25, Laura.
I think that's just one of those things with fantasy books in general, where we have this issue where we have to like have young heroines that are, or young heroes that are taking care of everything. And it's like, in reality, like that's just not going to happen. It's not going to be like this band of misfits from one small town that are just going to like all come together, and then they're going to be the different leaders of different sects. And you know what? They have all found their own little niche, and conveniently, those cover all the different areas we needed to. Okay, cool.
Well, and it's like, I don't know. It's a weird thing that Robert Dorn does because I do think it's effective in some ways where it's like, hey, Egwene leading the Aes Sedai. The Aes Sedai are so stuck in their ways. They needed new blood to push them to do different. However, argument against that, Swan Sanche was pretty down to do the final battle. So why did it have to be Egwene? I don't know. Elaine, her mother, whispering that she abdicated the throne. Don't know why that needed to happen. It's still funny, guys. It's still funny. I abdicate the throne. What'd you say? Nothing. Don't worry about it. But like, there's certain things where I'm like, I get why you need someone younger, because in the theme of this novel, it's supposed to be like people have gotten too content. They don't know the end of the world is coming, which is also like a hugely biblical theme to have on things. But sometimes I'm like, okay, but wasn't the whole point of the White Cloaks was they were working against this because they didn't believe in it? So why are you putting a leader who's like, we have to prepare for Tarmangaiden? I'm like, the only point of you guys was you didn't believe in this. So what are we talking about?
I don't know anymore.
It's just like Robert Jordan was like, well, I need to get them all ready to go to battle together to fight the Dark Ones. And it's like, did you? Do the White Cloaks need to be there? Like,
do you think that he meant to end with 12 books? I don't know. Like, I
don't think he knew how many books he needed, because so many people have asked Brandon Sanderson if he wants to continue with the Wheel of Time. So I think it's just supposed to like go on and on and on and on and on.
Oh my.
He has not said he will write more, but
hopefully he's got other projects in the works.
Also, someone reached out to me and told me that, like, yeah, if you read these books, there are certain hints about like Mercedes-Benz logos showing that this is our world. And what I say to that is that's not canon in my head, even if Robert Jordan said it was.
Wait, what?
So like I told you last week that like there's a theory that this is supposed to be our world just years and years and years in the future because the world broke. Okay. Yeah, because the world broke and this is what we get from it. So like the whole Luce Theron having like a futuristic world makes sense. Robert Jordan has like come forward and been like, yeah, and there's Easter eggs about that in the books. And to that I say, not if I didn't see them. Okay. I broke Laura, guys.
And to that I say there probably are Easter eggs, but I am oblivious and I will not accept any of those theories.
I agree with Laura.
I will stay in my own sheltered.
I mean, someone
Wheel of Time future.
Someone told me all about it in tweets, and I had a mental breakdown. It was Sarah from Fiction Fans. She
I'd rather this be a Spider-Verse situation.
It's just another universe, guys. It's another universe.
We're part of the Spider-Verse. Like,
it's like a deviant person. It's not a real one.
This is the darkest timeline. It can't be the Wheel of Time. It has to be.
Do you ever think that like, I mean, I understand that like we're speaking to a certain base here. I don't think like people who love this series so much are like, hey, 12 books into the girls who have never read this book series and are like, oh, did you hear about this random theory? And it's like, no, Hannah, that's just canon. But like,
they've tapped out. I mean,
really? This is a comedy podcast, just a reminder.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, good for Galad for avenging his stepmother who does not care about him. No. And good for him for going to defeat the Dark One at Tarmangaiden.
Yeah.
Even though White Cloaks believe in something very specific that I don't understand. They believe you're supposed to walk in the light, and then I don't know.
Who else is there?
I guess they are like technically looking for dark friends, and they just believe that everyone's a dark friend. So I guess like charging into
everyone is one.
I know, and I guess like charging into Tarmangaiden makes sense then. But then it's like, well, then who did they think the Dragon Reborn was going to be? I guess this like takes more research into what the Children of the Light actually believe. But yeah. I'm not going to do that, guys. Feel free to email us. I don't think there's anyone else in this book. Like Mazrim Taim is going crazy.
Dark Friend called it.
Dark friend, definitely. You did call that one. I wonder like when he became a dark friend though. Was it from the beginning or wow, just really
I called it
coming
early
at me.
on. I called it early on.
Yeah, but that was during your like your white
I
cloak
still
phase where
call
everyone
dark
was a
friends.
dark friend.
Okay. White cloak phase is harsh.
I mean, you were calling everyone as a dark friend. So.
I mean, I will still call dark friend.
If you call me anti-science, I get to call you a white cloak. So
that is very unfair. I did not call you a Nazi. So.
I mean, you pretty much called me a flat earther. And
I did not say either of those things. I just tried to be a troll.
I muted myself for my coughing fit that time. So Laura doesn't have to cancel it out. Yeah, it's just a very weird, like, now he's definitely like evil. Mm-hmm. And he's like, let the Lord of Chaos rule. But like off screen, Rand doesn't know. Like Rand does know that. I feel like it's a weird thing where I'm like, why hasn't this just been like established? Like Black Tower's broken, Mazrim Time's bad. Mm-hmm. Why is it still like just out in the open where everyone's like, Logain is like, hey, by the way, Mazrim Time is bad. And Rand's like, sure, I'm not going to go check though. Yeah. I don't understand, guys. I'm confused.
There's a lot of things that are confusing, and I wonder if it's just because the last book nothing happened to suddenly things happening. So then we're like, oh wait, what?
Right. Like there's just so many random people who pop up.
Yeah.
Oh, what about the guy who was obsessed with Tuan?
You know, I did not even remember that person. You said that when we recorded the plot episode, and I was like, oh, he was?
Because it was that creepy thing where you're like, I was creeped out by that because he was like, but there was the horse. Because like,
remember, yes.
And you were freaked out by him, and I was like, it sounds like he's just like feels daddy-ish towards her.
Yeah, I remember now because everybody was making comments about how petite and little and childlike she was, and like, ew, gross.
I mean, she's a child, but not really, Laura. She says she's 14, but not really, so it's okay.
Totally
it's okay. Totally 18. She's legal. Looks like a child, but once you realize she's 18, you realize she's not a child. Don't fetishize women, people. Or don't fetishize little girls. Don't do
anyone.
Or anyone. You fair. I don't know. I really just don't like the Sanchen at all. Like they're all kind of the worst. Mm-hmm. And I don't like how they're coded. I don't like how they're treated. I don't like that they one people who are like slaves alone. You know, it's just all of them bother me.
Yeah, agree with that.
Okay. Loyal got married and he's doing other things.
And no one cares that he's like dying.
Can't you do one more thing for me, Loyal? No, I have to get back or I die.
No, I'm actually dying.
Send someone
like,
else?
Seriously, dude, we need you to actually do some stuff now. You've waited around for all this time. We need you to do some, like, bring it up earlier. Come on, man. He's dying.
I agree. I don't know what else to tell you.
And his wife has to learn how to wife.
Well, she already knows how to wife perfectly, because if there's one thing we know about women in this book series,
we've all been to wife school.
We've all been to wife school, and we know how to tell you what to do and how to do it.
Yep.
I hate that so much. Poor Loyal. He's been given like the shaft so much.
Oh, it's just like the beginning was when he had to sleep on a tiny bed, and it's only went downhill from there.
I know. I feel so bad for him. Poor Loyal. Mm-hmm. Okay. Anyone else we need to discuss?
I don't think so. Ulver still loves boobs. We're concerned.
I mean, but at least Matt is concerned now too.
Mm-hmm.
Like Matt's like, I don't think you should be this obsessed with other boobs. People. And there's also so many
from Matt.
There's also so many descriptions of like Matt being like, I need to get him away from these people, and then like
not doing it,
and also like Ulver being like, oh, I love playing games. And then he describes the games and I'm like, okay. Yeah, I guess.
Eggs and boxes.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
all right.
That's it for today, guys. Join us next week when we have a much longer discussion about
Thank
all
you to
the
our
women.
Sponsor, TikTok.
Thank you to our sponsor, TikTok. And please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. Rating, review, and subscribing helps people come join in this conversation and tell us, what exactly do the White Cloaks believe in?
What do any of them believe in?
Exactly. So come join along with us, and then please follow us on our pod. That's OWWR Pod on Instagram and Twitter. You can also reach out to us at ourpod@gmail.com. And Hannah promises to actually post some blog posts very soon. She's getting some things in her life in order, and she's also very tired. So
give us a break, people.
And remember to go pick up Light from Uncommon Stars, because we'll be covering it for 3 weeks in February. And also, if you feel like participating in Ben from Literature and Lo-Fi's February She Wrote, you should also pick up She Who Became the Sun, because we will be covering that the final week. We hope you join along in all its endeavors. Bye.
Bye.